Hi guys, this is my how leaving the Watchtower Society affected me part 2. It's now June 10th, 2013. I was fellowshipped on June 25th, 2012, so I'm what was announced. I was actually technically disfellowshipped a few days before that, but I don't really remember. But I was still allowed to talk to people until it was officially announced. But anyway, in 15 days, it will be the anniversary of my 1 year disfellowshipping. I've only written one letter, and I don't intend to write anymore. The way it was received was, I have a whole nother video about that, so I'm not going to go into it, but if you've seen that video, you know, it was an epic fail. Attempted reinstatement, epic fail. Nobody tells you what to do, how to go about it. There's some guidelines in the Organized to Do Jehovah's Will book, but it's very unclear. You're basically just supposed to beg and grovel and write lots of letters and, you know, show up at all the meetings and, I don't know, cry. I don't know what they really want. But I want to talk about part 2 of what it's like to leave, because now that I'm at the end of my year, things are a little bit different. I did go to the Kingdom Hall to make my mother happy when the circuit overseer and the district overseer were here. There was a special week, and so I went. The coordinator of my congregation is a very sweet person, and he called me while I was getting my car inspected, and I answered, and I talked to him, and he was like, look, there's going to be a video, you can kind of sneak in. I know it's super hard for you, you don't have to look at everybody. Well, that wasn't really the case, but I know he meant well. I mean, you still have to go in while it's the lights, or they don't turn all the lights off while everybody's walking in, and I wasn't going to walk in late. So I got there just a minute or two before. It was fine. And actually I was very happy that day. I was okay. I'm like starting to be okay. So I went to make him happy, to make my mom happy, and at any rate, it wasn't bad. I mean, I didn't cry. I saw my best friends, my girlfriends that I loved, my Alex, Tracy, the babies. And it wasn't particularly easy, but at the same time, it wasn't horrible. And so I just want to say that there is another phase to this. I know my last video was there is hope, and there is hope, and there's more than hope. There's happiness. There is happiness on the other side of this, besides just hope for happiness or hope for a better future. There's joy and there's happiness. And I've found so many people, even anonymous people, that have cheered me up so much because I know they're going through the same thing. I would like to talk about a couple of things that exiting a cult does to a person. One, for me at least, I'm not saying this is the case for anyone else. I think it's all very individual, but for me, it's rendered me almost incapable of making any kind of a decision. I feel like I'm in an ocean with waves, and there's actually a scripture in the Bible about that. It talks about like the waves of the ocean, and it's a derogatory comment about people. So I don't know what to make of it. I also feel like I'm in a room being shoved around by people until I fall and start crying, and then I get up and I start getting shoved around again. And I know how to stop that, and I'm going to stop it. It's something I've become aware of. But it for me, having all of my decisions made for me all my life, now that I have the freedom to research and make my own decisions and think with my brain, which I did in college, but somehow I separated it from, you know, the Watchtower. When I was in there, boy, I didn't make any decisions at all. I left that up to everyone else, and that's usually where I was. In college, I'd argue a person down to the floor. I debated, I did all kinds of fun stuff, but somehow when I stepped that foot into the Kingdom Hall or out in field service, it went away, and I just like rolled over and waited for somebody to tell me what to do. So I'm struggling with that a little bit, but I'm getting better, a lot better. So if anyone else is struggling with the ability to make a decision, I think it's normal leaving a high control organization, which the Jehovah's Witnesses are. I've been divorced now for 10 days. I don't celebrate that. It's not anything that it's something that I'm glad I'm not still suffering the process, because it was absolutely horrible. And I still own a company with my ex-husband that I have to figure out how to split it up with him and an attorney, I guess. I won't even go into what he wants to do. It's kind of inhuman, but he doesn't mean it. I don't blame him. He's a victim too, like I always say. He's part of this crazy organization that tells him that that's the way things are, and that it's okay to treat people that way when they don't serve Jehovah. So I don't blame him. I think he feels very justified in his ridiculous offer to get me out. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to fight, but I'm not going to go into that in this video. But I do want to say that I am officially divorced now, and it's nothing to celebrate. It's just something to move on past. I think I may have mentioned this before, but I was on 6 different drugs, multiple psychotropics. I'm only on 1 now, to prevent seizures, because apparently all this anxiety did cause me to have seizures. And I tried to go off it on my own, and when I did that, I tried to go over the course of 2 weeks, and I've said this in an earlier video, I had a seizure in the grocery store. It was, I don't remember it, but it was scary for people around me. There does come guilt with exiting a high control group like Jehovah's Witnesses. The guilt is still there, but it's getting a lot better. I don't know if it'll ever completely go away, but it's much better. The more I research, I've got so many friends sending me articles and sock monkeys. You know who you are that sent me a giant sock monkey, thank you. One of my other friends sent me a beautiful fiber optic nightlight. This is very comforting. You'd be amazed how much those tiny little things help for someone that's going through this kind of stuff. Those tiny little things help a lot. In addition to feeling more guilt, I feel more love. I feel love from lots of people. Sometimes I confuse it, and I think that someone is showing me love, and they're not. They're being very selfish. I was hit on at my apartment pool while I was trying to just sit there and mind my own business by a couple of guys, and I mean, in both cases it was awkward. I made bad decisions. I didn't do anything, but I didn't handle myself very well, and I regret that, and I learned. I'm kind of scared to go to my own apartment pool now. I guess I'm going to have to wear sunglasses and a hat and, cover up completely. I don't know. I don't understand men that aren't Jehovah's Witness men, because they're very sweet and they don't do that kind of stuff. Even though they are in a high control group organization, they don't do the same thing that guys out here do. I've never had such suggestions made to me as were made to me as recently as yesterday. And I don't really, I don't know what to do about that except to grow and move on and learn and not fall for that kind of silliness again. It's funny, you leave a high control group and there's more pain because you feel a loss, but there's also more happiness because you don't feel that urge, that push to do more and more and more and more and more. Plus, you do find I have found some really great, loving, selfless, kind-hearted, good friends, good people that I know genuinely love me. And I want to just give that back. I give money to homeless people now all the time. I used to not, because the Jehovah's Witnesses tell you, spend your time in the ministry. You don't need to volunteer to help people eat or, help homeless animals. We don't waste our time with that. Just go out in the ministry. Well, I don't believe that. I can't go out in the ministry now anyway. So I always try to make sure I have money for homeless people, and I try to contribute to the charities that matter to me. I don't have a lot of money because I've made some stupid mistakes. I'm about to actually dig out of the financial mess I've made for myself too. It's getting better. Getting a divorce kind of causes, for a lot of people, I've heard, and I know for me, some financial distress. But here I am, only almost a full year into it, and I already see the light at the end of the tunnel on that. So that's gonna get better. There's a lot of struggling. There's a lot of confusion. There's disillusionment. I mean, doctrinal things like the Trinity. Did Jesus die on a cross, or did he die on a stake? I still feel very strongly about the way I believed when I was a Jehovah's Witness in many things, but I'm more open-minded now. I will at least entertain other beliefs, which I never would do before. I was like, oh, you know, and I listened to a talk from the 2013 District Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses that someone sent me about human apostates, and they say that apostates are mentally diseased and that all they are doing is trying to destroy. And that is so untrue, because by definition, I'm an apostate. I didn't mean to be an apostate. I wasn't trying to be an apostate. I just disagreed. I just suddenly felt like, not suddenly, I suddenly admitted that all the doubts I had were real. And then when they threw me out, it gave me an opportunity to research it. And now I don't agree, and that makes me this horrible person. This talk about human apostates in the 2013 District Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses, about how evil they are, how horrible they are, and how cruel they are, and how all they want to do is destroy everyone's life, is unfathomable to me. But it's the nature of this high control group that wants to scare everyone to death. And they do a really effective job of that. So at least I can see that now. It's hard once you come out of a group like this to trust anyone. So I kind of default to trusting everyone, and then I get in trouble. But the reality is, deep down, I don't trust anybody. Not really. I feel very distrustful. I feel very unsure, because everything I believed for 40 years now seems to be crumbling into dust. And so it's like, I've heard that children who go through an earthquake early in life have a very hard time. I mean, you'd think you could trust the ground that you walk on, but when you go through a bad earthquake in your developmental years, apparently it can cause those children to have an inability to trust even the ground that they walk on. Well, that's how I feel. I'm not sure the ground I walk on is trustworthy, nor anybody. Even though I love many of the new friends and people in my life, and I want to trust them. And I'm getting better at that. Some people aren't worthy of trust. Some people should not be trusted. Some should. And there's the rub. Figuring out who to trust and whom not to trust. I've learned a lot in this last year. I've finally been able to do research I was never able to do before, and I'm still like, there's so much of it, it's overwhelming at times. So I'm digging out of the research. I have, like I said, wonderful new friends and a deep sadness over the loss of my old friends. I hope you can't hear that. They're doing lawn work out there today. Hopefully you can't hear. The grounds at this apartment complex are absolutely beautiful, but there's always people doing lawn work. It's 2:40 in the afternoon on a Monday, so I guess I figure everybody's at work, everybody but me. So, anyway. Sorry for that sidebar. I've gotten a lot more courage, and at the same time more doubt. Two good things I'm going to end with. A desire to be creative. I've always loved to be creative, but I didn't have time because I was a regular pioneer. I was serving the Spanish hall, like I said. I was like Miss Rock Star in the congregation. Everybody wanted me. Everybody called me when they had problems. Everybody wanted me to come over. And I wanted to. I loved them. I wanted to be that. I wanted to be everything to all people. But I couldn't. And so, now that I can't, now that I've been banished, my creativity is coming out in other ways. And I bought some more canvases yesterday to paint some tacky pictures because I'm not really good at that, but it's therapeutic. It makes me happy. In the next couple of months, I'm going to sign up for, when I get my finances a little bit more organized, I'm going to sign up for guitar lessons. I'm really excited about that. And I love writing. I mean, I majored in English, as I said, at the university, and I love writing. It's very therapeutic for me to. It's not good usually, but it's something that helps me feel better. So between writing, playing music, painting, and listening to good music, and if anybody has any great songs they want to recommend, I love all kinds of music, from country to rock to pop to classical to show music. I like everything. So if anyone has any good suggestions for music that could help, I'll definitely look the songs up. Above all, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful at this point in my life for the love I've seen God answering my prayers left and right. It's shocked me, it's freaked me out a number of times. And the friendships and the comments and the love from you guys. I'm deeply grateful. I'm sorry this video went 16 minutes, but I love you very much, and I thank you for listening. Please keep your videos coming. I love you.